one that well, I kind of came up with this, but it's a way to illustrate when people are actually thinking about their goals and is understanding what type of goal it actually is. So, there's loads of different kinds of ones that I kind of envisioned when I was talking about goals. But then whether it's linear, horizontal, exponential, quadratic, and there's other ones depending on what you're doing. But it's very good to understand what type of goal you actually have so that you can understand how you actually plan it out. So on the left, you have a quadratic graph. So it's just like a downward loop, you know, on the right, exponential, a linear graph and a horizontal. Now, to break down the differences in these kind of ones, it's like, for example, if you're in the gym, it would be, if you're trying to lose weight, or if you're trying to get faster, it would likely be an exponential to some extent. Depending on what you're doing, it'll probably be exponential. So, we all know, even in terms of like energy, we all know the hardest part to do is to start. So in the beginning, even to go jogging, it's like, oh my days, I can't jog, I can't jog, I can't jog. And then before you know, you start, you go from 2K to 4K to 5K. It's not necessarily linear. Even losing weight in the beginning, you don't, people who are losing weight in the first couple of weeks, months, you don't really see much difference. Like it's only going like a 1 kg, 0.5 kg, a couple of pounds here or there. And then before you know it, it's in the last stretch that you start seeing the biggest change. And so that is the exponential type of goal, whereby everything ramps up more to the end, but you still have to go through this process. So even if you look at businesses, for example, startups, most startups are like this. In the beginning, they're not getting no traction. But when they start, proof of concept, and then they start getting their first deal, then before you know it, boom, that's how they go. You see Teslas, you see a lot of startups, that's how they go. Now, this one, on the left, a quadratic one, it would be maybe like if, for example, if you were a footballer and your goal was to get match ready. Now, if you're going to go for match ready, what would probably happen is that in the beginning, you start ramping up the intensity. You start from rest, get up, increase it 10 kg, 50 kg, 100 kg in the gym, whatever, be doing the sprints, and then it reaches maybe a day. Let's say you have 5 days before your match. On the third day would be the biggest one, which would be your peak, and this is what would be, and then you would start ramping down so that you don't burn yourself out and conserve your energy for match day. So that's how they would do it on that. Now, the one on the bottom left here, horizontal, is the one where it's equal measure at all the time, is equal measure. So for example, people do this typically when they're studying for the exams. It's like, okay, cool, I've got 4 weeks left to exams. I've got a big exam there. If I break down this course, I've got like 20 chapters of this course, and it will take me 3 hours to do each of them. I do maybe 1 hour a day or 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day. So typically this is how people actually do their, when they're trying to revise, this is how they break up their goals. Okay, 3 hours a day, 3 hours a day, 3 hours a day. Okay, I've done this 3 hours a day. Even when people are trying to do their work for uni and stuff like that, they do it as well that way. Now, this one, obviously linear, self-explanatory. As you go on, you kind of increase in proportion as you're going on, and it almost goes on a straight line. And so depending on how your goal is will come down into how you actually effectively plan it. So for some people, they're like, okay, I'm gonna do, even in terms of like doing weights or stuff like that, or doing press ups, it's like, you go from doing 2 a day, 2 a day, 2 a day to like, okay, 3 a day. But then after you realize that if you can do 3 a day for like a month, then you can very easily go to like 7 a day, 10 a day, as opposed to, just adding one every day. It doesn't really work that way. So depending on your goal will depend on how you actually effectively plan it. So understanding your goal, or what type of goal you actually have, is very important for you to succeed in doing that.